We are live with an episode of Pink Pixels coming fresh off of the Gamers Awards. Friends, if you had the chance to tune in on Friday, let me tell you, it was a whole wonderful way to end the week with beautiful inspiration, wonderful celebration, and just an inclusion of amazing women in the space. And of course, we're continuing that celebration and deep dive into great stories as we have a fantastic guest this evening, which many of you already know. I can see in chat, so thanks for ruining the surprise, you jerks. But I'm glad that you're here anyway and bringing the energy, and I hope that you continue. This is a space where we have conversations, where we get to learn about each other, and especially with so many content creators, we get to dive deep beyond just who they are as a streamer, who they are as a competitor in the space. And so bring your questions, bring your own commentary, bring your experiences, because by sharing this, we get to learn more. We get to have a richer environment. So do this. If you've got any questions that you've been dying to ask right now, we may ask them if they're good questions. If they're bad, I'll just shame you for it. So put yourself out there. I love this hashtag Cake Squad. Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and get right into it. As you all know, we have oh goodness, I knew I was going to say it. For gaming always gets me. Cupcake Gaming joining us this evening. And let me tell you, she's a hoot and a half, amazing streamer. And of course, we want you all to say hello to her. So let's toss it on over. Cupcake Gaming, say hi to our wonderful audience.
Hey guys, what's up? So good to meet you. My name is Gina, aka Cupcake, and I am a full-time content creator and I'm a mom of two. I've been playing video games my entire life, from Atari, Nintendo, Super NES, Game Boy, Xbox Original, Xbox 360, PC, everything you could possibly think of. I actually started competing in competitive FPS in 2001. I was the leader of the very first all-female Counter-Strike team to ever compete in any video game ever. So it was a pretty cool experience for me, and I have been kind of continuing on that journey over the last 2 decades. And I continue to game today, and I'm actually still competing. I compete in Warzone, and I'm the oldest competitive Warzone player at 42 years old. I love what I do. I am so passionate about sharing my love for gaming with my community and anybody interested in tuning in and watching and hanging out. And it's a pleasure to be here tonight to kick off Women's History Month. So all of you women gamers in the chat, happy Women's History Month. And thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. I appreciate you guys stopping by. It means a lot.
I love that. Yes, Women's History Month. And you have accumulated so many titles so far, right? Like a small hoarder of sorts, right? Trailblazer, pioneer, competitor, victor, champion, badass, right? Like we could go on and on. For you, what was it like first starting out to be like, all right, let's do CS, let's get this women's team underway? What was like that initial beginning of that conversation to be like, can we do this? What is this gonna look like?
Yeah, so I actually met my boyfriend, who is now my husband, that many years ago, and
Yeah.
he played video games, and I would travel an hour to go visit him, and he'd be on the game, and I'd be like, "Are you gonna get off?" And then so eventually, after a few weeks, he was like, "Why don't you try it?" And I tried it, and I was hooked. And within a couple months, I actually met 4 amazing women, and we started playing together. And as we played together, we started competing, and we realized, okay, this is something we can really do. We can take this seriously. We can take it really far. And at the time, I hate to say it, but we were kind of a gimmick because there wasn't a lot of us.
Oh.
So we were sponsored by a lot of big companies. We were paid to travel to tournaments to get more eyeballs, at the tournaments. Oh, this all-female team is going to be here. And it was a pretty cool experience. It really was. It is sad that we were kind of a gimmick, but at the same time, we did start something incredible and kind of pave the path for all the women competitors today.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's step one. That's always the hardest part. Like people are like, it's not going to be perfect, or it's going to be seen as a gimmick, but that isn't enough to say like, we don't do it. Right.
Right. Exactly. As a matter of fact, it's more so like, we're going to do this.
Yeah. You're like, you can't stop us. Out of the way, suckers.
Exactly.
Now, when you were doing this, how did you know who to reach out to put together this team? Right. How do you find out like these are the right people, especially knowing that it is kind of something new? It's not just like, okay, we're going to just pick random or like any woman that is saying yes, because there's going to be a lot of eyes on this team, obviously, right? Sponsors
Yes.
were very interested. There's a lot of spotlighting, a significant amount of interviews.
Yeah, so we actually ended up there was a leader. She was the original leader, and she kind of didn't fit the bill. She wasn't the right fit, and she wasn't portraying what we wanted to portray as groundbreakers in competitive gaming. So I
Mhm.
kind of took over that role, and it was kind of a weird thing. But at the same time, we knew this is something that we wanted to take serious, and we wanted to take it far, and we had to take the right measures to get there. So it
Yeah.
was hard. Like I said, the five of us met right off the bat, and we ended up competing together for the next 9 years. So it was kind of just chemistry at first sight,
Yeah.
and we meshed well, played well, and but it was really interesting. At the beginning of esports in 2001, who do you reach out to? Who do you contact? So it was just a lot of
Ooh.
scouring, reaching out, swinging, taking shots, um, taking risks.
Yes. Yes. I think a lot of people forget, especially because there's so many people that are like, I want to start an esports team. And of course, you had a very interesting case to be made that was going to get some support from certain groups and then a lot of scrutiny from a broader audience
100%.
constantly.
Yes.
Yeah. It probably did take a lot of asking to find those right fits of like, who's the right kind of partners for us? Who do we want to sponsor? Who do we actually want to align with? And figuring out who to ask, not just, yeah, these are the companies, but how do we get into these spaces?
Right, exactly. We did just really have to, like I said, do our research, and I think the biggest sponsor that we had back in that day was Nvidia, which is a huge one. And once they kind of took us under their belt and really wanted to push us and propel us, and it just kind of all spiraled from there.
Yeah, yeah. You're like, okay, see, when one company opens the door, then the others are like, oh, we can follow. It's
Yeah,
not as
exactly.
scary.
Yes. We really needed somebody to take a risk on us because women were not seen as gamers. We were not seen as competitors. We were not taken seriously, which I still feel like we have a long ways to, go
Mhm.
even today.
Yeah.
But back then, being at the beginning, it was very difficult. But I'm really proud of what we did and how far we've come. And I'm extremely proud to still be competing today, 23 years later. So
Yes. Get it. Get it. Still schooling people in Warzone.
yeah, catching some peaks.
I've seen those clips. I'm like, I'm terrified of you. Uh, but it had to start somewhere. What was it like really in terms of reception with your own community and then kind of stepping out into the larger pool or even with other competitors to be like, yeah, here we are. We're in this scene. We're professionals. We're competitive to make room.
Yeah, it was hard. Men, of course, I love you guys. I love men, but at the same time, we did get a lot of scrutiny. And I feel like the best part about all of it was, back then there wasn't online competing. There was, but it wasn't the same as it is today.
Right.
So if you wanted to compete, if you wanted to really show yourself and be taken seriously, you had to go to LANs. So
Oh,
going to LAN and competing and winning, there is no other feeling in the entire world than, kind of proving everybody wrong and showing them that, okay, women do have this. Women can compete with the best of the best, and we have what it takes. So,
hmm. I love that you mentioned that because I think sometimes we forget when we think of esports, we think of it as like, here is where it is now, and that's how it's always been, but it has evolved. I won't lie, like live events are sometimes terrifying to me. They're overwhelming, but I can't imagine what was it like being one of the few women in a tournament space and you walk around and it's just like a sea of men and then here you are with your own little team of like, here we
yeah,
are, the only
it was
women here.
terrifying. It was. I remember the first few, I was scared to death. And then I mean, because you're the only women team, of course, most of them are behind you watching you, and you can just feel them breathing down your neck. And you're like,
Yes.
oh my God, what if we suck? What if we choke? So it was scary. It was scary. But of course, you get used to it. And the adrenaline of
Mm.
competing and winning, it kind of turns that all off.
Yes. Yes. Oh, what an interesting thought that is too. Like that extra burden, like here we are representing all women. Like other competitors aren't in there like we're representing all men. Like that's not additional weight on their shoulders as they bring into the headspace because your headspace in a game is very important. It can
Yes,
change how clearly you think and what how
100%.
risky you feel like you can take moves in that game. Did that
Yeah.
get in your head while you're competing?
Oh yeah, the pressure can be outstanding. Like
Yeah.
it can be crazy, especially knowing that you are representing females and you do kind of want to pave that path and you do want more women, right?
Yeah.
One of our goals was to get more women involved, to get more women comfortable. And so then you have to then be comfortable doing those things to
Yes.
make them want to feel comfortable. So it was hard, but
Mm.
eventually, we kind of got our bearings and really took off and was able to do well and the pressure kind of subsided.
Yes, yes. Kind of like our own tongue. Like you are every woman in this case, right? Like you have to be what all of us are in this space as you represent, as you play. But I think there's value in both the wins and losses because seeing how we navigate all of those is part of the full experience of being not just a woman in gaming, but a competitor in gaming as a
Yeah, I
whole.
feel like, you know, every experience in life, and I've learned this throughout my life. I am 42, so I've had a lot of life experiences.
Hmm.
But I feel like everything in life happens for a reason. And whether it's something good or whether it's something bad, it really does shape us into who we are. And it really transitions us. It allows us to be stronger and more emotionally, settled on things.
Mm.
It's hard when we have those losses, but at the same time, I feel like they motivate us, they make us stronger. Everything's a learning lesson. And over the last 20 some years in doing this, I've learned a lot of lessons, some good, some bad, but either way, they have led me to where I am today. So I don't regret any of it.
Yes, yes. You're like, I made it through. We're still going strong. Yes. All of it leads to where we are.
Yeah.
That's such a good healthy approach.
I feel like it has to be because if
Yeah.
you really let stuff get to you and you don't allow it to, make you grow, allow you to be stronger, then
Yeah.
you just become complacent and you never grow. And growing is a good thing.
Yes. Oh, I like that take. I'm gonna throw a question at you from I Am the Legion. What was the
Yes.
most challenging part of breaking into the esports scene in general, but also as, a woman in gaming, right? Like here we are. Where do you first begin? And what were some challenges, especially maybe a challenge you didn't expect? Like sometimes we expect, like, yeah, you're probably going to get some harassment for being a woman, or the dumb old statements like where they say, you shouldn't be playing video games, be in a kitchen. Like, unfortunately, we've heard that one and it's boring.
Yeah. Right.
Right? Like, it's like
Be creative.
bingo. Yeah, yeah. Were there some unexpected challenges, though, that came from that?
Yeah, I would say finding women. Like I said, we did have our handful of women, but as a competitor, as a competitive team, it's always good to have more women. So
Yeah.
finding other women was hard. Like, where do you find them? So at first, when we didn't like, because you have to have in Counter Strike, you have to have 5 people.
Yeah.
So if one person is sick or one person can't attend or if one person can't compete, um, that was a challenge till eventually, we did find little by little more and more women to compete. And I think the other thing that I did not expect was men pretending to be women. That actually happened a lot back then.
No.
Once, yeah, so once like the competitive scene kind of opened up and there were more women competing. They started a all female league, and there was a lot of because there weren't a lot of women. It was easier for men to kind of pretend to be women and compete.
What?
And they would like come out of the woodwork. They'd be like, somebody would be like, well, so and so's a man. And
Yeah.
and sure enough, we'd be like, oh my gosh. Like I wasn't expecting that to happen, but it did indeed happen.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's
It actually still happens today.
oh, I imagine it sometimes like in role playing games. Like sometimes I choose to play masculine characters. Like I for some like I mean some of them are also gross. Like I play the pretty girl character because I like to see her run. Like sometimes dumb things like that. But this feels like it's taken to another level. How disgusting! Like it just I don't know. Like that's such an interesting take. How do you handle things like that? Like what was your reaction? I mean, I'm
I
laughing.
feel
That's
like,
mine.
I mean, definitely shocked first. And then we kind of did have to make, just make some protocols to kind of figure out. And even today, like I am an ambassador for the Female Pro League, and
Yeah.
it's tough to bring on, women competitors not knowing. So, and like, what do you say? Like, do we check your ID? Like,
Yeah.
how do you approach that
Oh.
without being, you kind of want to be sensitive to the matter. Um,
Mm.
so it's just, so there are ways, today in COD now they do, if you participate in a larger Call of Duty tournament, they do make you face cam. things like that to kind
Hmm.
of verify that you are female or femme identifying. So
Hmm.
it can be tricky, but like I said, we've come a long way. So there are kind of ways now today to bypass that and learn from it. But it definitely was a weird thing back then because there
Yeah.
are no cameras, there was no streaming, there was nothing like that. Um,
It's new waters, and as we advance in technology, we kind of get along further in this. Uh, since we have a troll in chat, I am kind of curious. How do you deal with your own trolls, right? Like here we are experiencing it. It's just really kind of shocking that they exist and they feel very comfortable sharing their own thoughts out loud. For you, how do you like to deal with them?
so I have been doing this a long time. I've heard everything under the sun. It is sad that I have to have a thick skin, but I have grown a thick skin. I've heard just about everything you could possibly imagine.
Hmm.
I don't really let it get to me. I don't so much. I will say like the daily harassment overall sometimes can affect your mental health. It can be a lot.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I say I've been doing this for so long that I'm not gonna just sit here and look pretty. Now that I have a platform, I have a voice, I have a way to clap back. I am
Yes.
going to do that. I am going to hopefully educate and maybe change somebody's mind, which we have done. I feel like a lot of it has to do with ignorance. So,
Mm.
educating and just bringing highlights and spotlights to the positive things about females in gaming can help. But yeah, I'm not going to just sit there and shut up. I can't ignore it. I feel like I have the right to clap back. And now that I have the voice and the platform to do so, that's what I'm going to do.
You do. You do. And you have a lot of power behind that voice, not just, of course, your numerous accolades, both in game and as a content creator, but also, right, you have a community that also helps support. Like, I love seeing everyone in chat responding. Like, you have built a space that not only one person has to push back, but you've got an army of sorts, like, as we create and talk together.
I really do. I have an incredible community. They are so supportive. And we let a lot of stuff slide in my chat. I am very open. I want people to come in. I want them to be themselves. I want them to express themselves. I mean, I have a foul mouth. I say vulgar things. So when
Yeah.
people come in and they say stuff, it's hard for me to say like, well, I can say this, but you can't say that.
Yeah.
So I do let a lot of stuff slide. Even my mods sometimes are like, okay, we don't know where the line is. So we created a safe word. So if I say chicken wing, they got to get them out. Um, but my community is incredible. We were actually at the Gamer Awards last weekend, and I want to give a big shout out to them since they're in here. Without them, I would not have been able to make it there as a finalist. So big shout out to the Cake Squad. You guys are amazing. I love y'all. I see
Yes.
you all in the chat. I love you.
And being a finalist is a huge deal. Like there are thousands of votes that come in through these spaces. And so to be a finalist, like it just shows how many people care and are like, listen, you have had an impact in my life. That's what that represents. You are so impactful. And I'm glad like we had you on this platform because that allows more people to see what you do, to be inspired by what you create, and to be a part of the Cake Squad in this case.
I'm excited to be here. I love the gamers. I love what it stands for. It's a cause that's near and dear to my heart, of course. I've
Mhm.
been advocating for women for a very long time. So to
Yeah.
see, a platform, I think they said they have 1 million people involved. So like that many people backing something that's so incredible, that's trying to make a change and make a difference and amplify and highlight, women in gaming. It's a really cool thing to be a part of. I'm really happy to be here tonight on the show and to share my experience because it's not easy. A lot of people think female streamers have it easy, right? We have boobs, so we get viewers, and that's
Yes,
what they
look how
think.
much we're showing them off today.
Yeah,
Uh,
right. My turtleneck. But it is very difficult. It is hard, and we do deal with a lot of stuff. Sexual harassment and negativity and hate, and it can be diminishing. It can really get, like I said, get to your mental and affect you. And there are times where I've been like, I can't do this, I can't do it. But
yeah.
then I have to remember like why I'm doing it, why I continue to do it. I have a 14-year-old daughter. So I'm hoping if someday she wants to be in this space, that I can continue to make it safer and better for her one day. So
Yes. Oh, I like that as you're thinking about, of course, passing on this world, this gaming space, right? That you are so influential in. Like, how do you give that to her? Oh, I love that thought. So, does she start playing? How old is she? If you
she
feel
does.
comfortable
She's
sharing.
14. She'll be 14 in a couple weeks. And she just dabbles a little bit. She plays Fortnite and Roblox. So it's funny because her friends,
Mhm.
her classmates are starting to figure out what I do. Um, so she was saying she came home from school the other day and she said, "I want to tell you something, but I promised a boy in my class I wouldn't tell you." And I said, "What? We don't keep secrets in this family. You know,
Yeah.
you got to tell me." And she
Yeah.
said, "He said you're hot. He was watching your stream." And I was like, "All right, your friends are not allowed to watch. They're not allowed to watch. No
Out.
more."
Out.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is something that she will want to do one day. I think she thinks it's very fascinating.
Mhm.
She's kind of in the same boat as me. I'm a very introverted person. I'm very shy. I'm
Yeah.
very awkward. I have social anxiety.
Mhm.
So for me, you know, for a year, people were telling me, you have to do this. You have so much experience. You have so much knowledge to share. You just need to do it. And I could not. I was like, nobody's going to want to watch me. I'm not good at this. I can't do it.
Yeah.
But here I am. I did it. And I think it's awesome to show her like, push yourself outside of your comfort zone because you can
Mm.
grow, you can be successful. And if you really push yourself outside of your comfort zone and follow your dreams, that you can make anything possible.
Yes. Yes. I love that lesson, right? Because there's so many different pathways, but the idea is to make it that you can do whatever you want to do. That something like a barrier of like I'm afraid of speaking out loud or I'm afraid of what other people are going to say. That should never stop you from pursuing something you want to create, right? Putting yourself
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah,
Mm,
100%. Like even today, like being a competitor at 42,
yeah.
it's not easy. A lot of people, you know, they think 28 is the max and you can't compete after that age and you're washed or you're not good. So you do get overlooked a lot of times. You might not get chosen for tournaments or people look down upon you. And so I continue today to still kind of like overcome those barriers and still
Hmm.
I think all of it though is just motivation to keep going, keep trying, keep
Yes.
doing it because if you don't, then you prove them all right, and I refuse to do that.
Yes, you're like, look at me. This is for me.
Yeah,
It's a strange kind of motivator, isn't it? You're like, I.
it is.
This is just to prove you wrong.
Hate is a very good motivation tool.
Yes, yes. I think that's so funny, but it's true. And I like how you kind of leave this door open like right, you it's about creating these spaces that make it better for everyone to be here in this space. And it's hard to do that. It's hard to make sure that we, as we improve. I'm going to tap into Scrib's question real quick. We've got a couple that I want to pull in as well, but Scribs, because it kind of ties in of like you being an introvert, right? I'm on the same boat, right? There's something nice about streaming, like you can kind of direct more of the conversation a little bit more versus just being in a group of people. But for you, why do you enjoy, especially as an introvert, this platform that you've created, right? And that you continue to come back to, even though it can be a very draining experience still.
Yeah, it really can be. There's some days where I stream 8 hours and I'm just like tapped out, right?
Yeah.
Maybe even the next day I don't want to stream again, but I continue to.
Mhm.
But I think a lot for me is that it is hard for me to make friends in person, face to face. And for this, it's given me a way to like be myself and to communicate with others and to find a ground that we can all relate to and come back to, which is gaming. But also just knowing that if you're in here and you're in the Cake Squad, type a one in chat if you're an introvert. We have created this community of introverts for all of us to come together and be ourselves and have a good time. And it really does allow us to have fun with other people without having to stare somebody right in the face.
Yes, yes. There's especially like in these online spaces, it's a lot easier to choose to communicate and express when you're ready, right? Like, and you don't have to always do as much control of like how you express yourself or when you want to hop in. Like, there's more choices in that options.
Yeah, there's
Mm.
a little more control. I will say, like, even going to events, which I've just started to do over the past couple years, is a lot more difficult than I thought. I thought, okay, I've met these people online, we've played together, I know them, and I'm going to this space where we still have a common ground, and it's
Mhm.
still awkward. I thought maybe it would help, and it has. It's gotten easier event by event, but it is still a little weird when when you aren't behind your own little setup in the comfort of your own home, and you do have to actually meet people face to face.
You're like, hello, how are you?
Yeah.
Did you have to prepare knowing that you would have to, especially for like the Gamers Awards that you went to, like, all right, we're gonna have to do small talk. I'm gonna have to say hello to a lot of people. How did you prepare
Yes.
yourself for like the in-person events like that?
I will say with the awards, we went to the VIP dinner Thursday night, the night before,
Mhm.
and I went up and it was a very intimate party, and I was like, oh, how do I do this?
Yeah.
Um, so I decided I'm going to take this opportunity. And I said, if I go up to 10 people and just introduce myself and, tell them who I am and a little bit about me.
Yeah.
But it was so easy. Like the women were just so open and friendly. And a lot of them would come up to me and introduce themselves, which kind of takes the pressure off of you a little bit. Um, I will say, like, at any of these events, so I'll go and I'll be able to like socialize for an hour or so. And then I'm like, okay, I need like 15 minutes to myself to kind of decompress
Yeah.
and reset and then get back into it. Yeah. You got this.
Here we go.
Zach is my hype man. My mod is my hype man. So I call him like, Zach, help. He's like, you got this, bitch. You got this.
We all need a hype friend, right? Like that's there, like, you've got this. Don't forget, you're fucking awesome. Get out there, kill it.
Yeah.
Everyone out there is lucky to meet you, so go for it.
Many FaceTimes with the mods. Yes.
Yes.
Many of them.
Yes. I love it. I love it. And so, of course, like when you go to something like the Gamers, it's really nice. Everybody, I've never been to a Gamers event where anyone's didn't want to say hello, or wasn't nice or polite or at least engaging. What is it like though now when you go to tournaments? Now, of course, people want to talk to you. You are a person here in this space. But when you were first starting out, what was it like being an introvert and also being in like a tournament space, a LAN party or competitor? Like, well, how did that go?
Yeah, so I haven't done a lot of tournaments in person recently, but back in the day when I would do them, I feel like my focus was just so much on the competing that it kind of drowned out the social anxiety aspect of it. Yeah, like just tune it out a little bit.
Yeah.
I will say, like, last year was my very first meet and greet, so where people actually wanted to meet me and sign autographs and all that, and that was probably one of the weirdest moments of my entire career. Like, it kind of just put it all into perspective because, when you're in the day to day, you know what you've achieved, you know what you've accomplished, but you almost lose sight of it because you're just looking forward to the next thing or working on the next goal. So when I went there and then there was just this line out the door of people that wanted to meet me, I was just like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm actually doing this.
Yeah.
it was a little weird. It was definitely a mental thing, but it was cool. It was a really cool thing to like put it into perspective and see that you're doing what you have aimed to do. So
yes, yeah, to see like, okay, here we are. It for people getting into the competitive space, especially women getting into the competitive space, what's some advice that you might give them as they break into this? Like, I want to be a competitor. I want to be a competitive individual that's actually good and winning, right? I want to build myself up. Where do you suggest building this? Because it's not just being good at the game anymore.
Yeah,
Forever.
I feel like definitely building a social media presence, getting your name out there. It's almost as if building a resume, right? Showing, because a lot of the tournaments are invite only, so you do have to get your name out there. You have to get your brand out there. You have to get your gameplay out there. So building a resume of sorts and starting anywhere, starting small, starting in smaller tournaments and building your way up. And I think one of the biggest pieces of advice I have to give to any woman looking to like just start to tiptoe or dive into the competition scene is to don't be intimidated, because it can be very scary. It can be very intimidating. And, a lot of us have aimed over the last, decades to make women feel more comfortable and confident. And I think you got to go in with confidence. You have to know, okay, this is what you want to do, and go in and start somewhere and just keep continuing on. And if it's something that you're really passionate about and something you love to do, don't let anybody stop you, and don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it or that you don't belong there.
Yes. Own that space. Say that you belong here. Keep moving forward. I love that. That's sometimes hard to hear in our own internal dialogue, that hearing it from someone else is necessary, right?
Yeah, it's hard to do too. It is hard to own it. It's hard to say, okay, I'm doing this, and nobody or nothing can stop me, because there is a lot of gatekeeping. I'll say in the Call of Duty scene specifically, there can be a lot of gatekeeping with other women. I'm not sure what it is or why it is that way. But, I actually just partnered with the Overextend Foundation, which helps women feel more comfortable in the competitive space and encourages them to get involved. And we're starting to host tournaments for lower KD players to be able to come in and start somewhere and see if it's something that they want to continue with and give them a chance without feeling pressured or feeling off put.
Yes. Yes. I think it's so interesting because when you often see like competitors, you'd often think like to be in the esports space, it should be very straightforward of like, here's how you play, be a good player. Sure, you have to do branding, and that you think that would be a similar journey for most people. Where do you see those deviations start to happen where some people get very different experiences as they break into the esports space?
Um, for me, I competed so much for 9 years. It was my entire life. And then I took a long hiatus to raise my own kids. So to come back into it, it definitely felt, I don't know, it just felt like unwelcoming to me. And that's one thing that like I have really tried to change over the past few years because I feel like it's hard enough for women in this space, right? Like we already have a hard time. We already don't get invited to tournaments just specifically because of our sex, our gender. And I'm not sure why it happens that way. I really don't. I feel like more women should make other women want to feel comfortable and want to get involved with it because it's so important that we do something that we love. And,
Yeah.
and if that is competing, that we have those chances, we have those opportunities, and we have the place to do that without feeling like people don't want us there.
Mm, yes. Yeah. It's kind of strange. Like that's that added extra pressure, like that guard, that gatekeeper, right? To say like, no, not you though. Right.
Yeah.
You're like, but what am I doing so different from everyone
Right.
else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that can be a girl thing though, It's so weird because like you graduate from high school and then you think, okay, high school's done.
Yeah.
And then you enter the Call of Duty comp scene and it's like, oh, we're in high school again.
Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah.
What is going
Yeah.
on?
They're like, no, let's not play this game.
Yes, let's not do that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very interesting, like how that continues to follow, and it's one more fight to have to pick, right? Like on top of like keeping your head focused on the game, now there's social essential fights that you're playing here that you have to be strategic with, of like how much clout do you have to overcome something like that, how many allies do you have that can help you get around these sort of things, right? Like it's now so much more that you have to put besides just being good at the game.
Yeah, and sometimes, nowadays it's not about being good enough. Like you could be one of the best players and you could still not get a tournament invite because you don't have enough viewers or you're not friends with so and so or whatever the case may be. And it's a sad thing, and I do get a lot of it, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
these tournaments are aired. They have to get viewers in to make money and to give back and to get sponsors. So I get some of the aspects of it, but at the same time, it's like if you're a good competitor and you're good enough to play and compete, why can't you be involved?
Yes, yes. We would think that would be the reality. Like so many people like to pretend that if you're a good player, therefore you should be able to get in or you should be invited. But we have so many examples that that's obviously not the case, right? We've heard stories after stories, and it's not just happening to women, right? Like as you mentioned, like if you don't have enough clout, if you don't have enough social, if you don't know the right people, right? But it often still happens to women because getting involved or getting connected with them or sometimes with their friends or their buddies, right? And they continue to not allow for those relationships, those networking opportunities to happen, right? It continues to disparage minority voices, minority gamers again and again. And so for people who say like, you just have to be good, that's a very blind mindset of how the esports space actually works. For people who are there. And I mean, it's not just you saying this, right? We know there's been so many competitors across the board who acknowledge that that is an issue, right? It's not a new conversation.
Yeah, and like you said, it's not women or men. The gatekeeping happens for everybody.
Yeah.
It really does kind of some days boil down to how many people you have watching you and who you're friends with, how much clout you have, and it's a sad reality. But like I said, my biggest advice is to build up yourself, build up your brand, really build up that resume, because it is hard for a tournament host to want to invite you to a tournament if they know nothing about you.
Yeah.
if they don't know who you are, or do you compete? Are you any good? Are you going to be sexist or racist, or whatever the case may be? We have no idea. We know nothing about you.
Yeah.
So you do really have to build up your brand and market yourself and get your name out there. Build up a resume to compete. And that's my advice to anybody that's looking to do it.
Yes, yes. You're like, here we go. Keep going at it. Keep going at it. And I think it's so interesting in the esports space, right? Because compared to other gaming spaces, you don't really necessarily have to have a brand. Like, you don't go to basketball players like, well, you don't really have a good Twitter following, so we're not going to let you, that's not
exactly.
the same thing.
Yeah. It's a weird dynamic because people all the time say, is esports sports, And I think they are different in their own right. And of course, like we're talking about now, esports is definitely more nowadays your social standing, where you stand on the social leaderboard, and it's definitely a weird thing. I will say that there are a lot of new hosts and things out there that are trying to make more people get involved and let them start somewhere.
Yes.
Because everybody has to start somewhere. How do you ever build up that resume, or how do you ever get good enough or keep competing if you don't have a place to even start?
Yes. Yes.
Kind of like building your credit score,
Yes, that's true. That's true. But I think it's so important, especially like as when we look at opportunities, how we offer hands up is so important. Like how NVIDIA said, we believe in you. Let's open this door. Or when another competitor goes like, I see you, let me help encourage you. Like, let me help guide you as you build your social. So that way it matches your gameplay strategy, right? Like let's bring you up to this level. Or even, I think people forget how important like viewers, followers, community members are within this space to say like, we see you, we're supporting you. We're going to keep encouraging you to go at it, because there's a lot of different ways in which support kind of help rallies and pushes us further along that journey. For you,
I 100% agree.
What has been some of the most helpful things to keep you going in this space?
My community, 100%. Without them, I would not still be here today. The days that I want to give up, that I want to give in, the days that I say it's not worth it anymore, or I'm sacrificing too much, because I do take a lot of time away from my family to kind of do this full time and get to where I want to be. But my community, they really motivate me. They push me. They remind me of why daily I do this. So 100% them. My kids, of course, just showing them that no matter how hard it gets, if you keep going, you keep working hard, you can make anything happen. And the causes that I work for, I'm an ambassador for so many different things, and I do a lot of charity work. So knowing how much of a difference that I can make by just being in this space, even if it's for a couple hours a day, it really keeps me going 100%. But my community, number one.
We love them. I love them. I think they're fantastic. I've only had them for like an hour. I want to keep them. but it matters. There's something important about that as you continue to do this day by day. And when we talk about any workplaces, this isn't unique just to the gaming space. Who you surround yourself with is important. It changes how well you want to keep working at this place and investing in it and growing with those people and being there and bringing your best self to it. It makes a world of difference.
It really does. Who you surround yourself with, and, having people that, highlight the positives and motivate you and encourage you. That's what keeps you going, no matter where you're at in life or what you're doing. If you constantly surround yourself with people that are negative or try to bring you down with their own vibes or whatever, it's just gonna diminish you and what you're trying to do. So I always try to, we always say in my chat that 5 dimes is better than 50 pennies, and we try to keep a small, very intimate community that supports each other and keeps each other encouraged.
I like I've never heard that phrase before. 5 dimes better than 50 pennies. I love that though. I think that's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. Wait, Grandma's here?
Yeah, Tactical Grandma's here.
Hi, Grandma. Hey. Love you.
I think this is, you know what? Let's tap in here, right? So you are not alone in this space, right? You have built really great connections with other women here who are helping, especially in the FPS space, right? To say like, we're here, we're doing great content, we're good competitors, you can't shake our grounds. What is it like to build that network out, to see other women that you resonate with, or you play with every Wednesday or whatever that looks like?
Yeah, we call ourselves the Gravity Gang because we're a little older. Things are starting to sag a
I
little
know.
bit.
Lift things up. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been amazing. I will say, while she's here, and this isn't just because she's here, I would not be here today if it wasn't for her. Like
Oh,
seeing her at her age, I'm 42, so it's a weird space for me to be in, right? Like I'm
mhm,
not a quote unquote grandma. I'm
mhm,
not 25. I'm
mhm.
not a hot mom. I'm just a middle aged
Well,
woman playing video
apparently your
games.
kids' friends think
Yeah.
differently, so give yourself some credit here.
But her encouragement, if she said, very at the very beginning, she said, if I can do it, you can do it. Come on, get in here and
Mm,
try it out. Just do it. And having that support, and she has been a supporter from day one for 4 years. Her and her husband have been incredible. But just seeing how far it's come, from five women across the world playing video games together to now all of these women who, last 2 days ago, coming together in this space and really encouraging and uplifting and motivating other women, and empowerment is insane.
mhm.
It's really awesome to see the female empowerment and how we uplift each other, because like I said, it is tough. And if we don't have that support from other women and the advice from females that are our peers who are in our same shoes, it would be really hard to continue to do what we do.
Hmm. Yes, yes. Having those friends who see where you're at and they encourage you, right? I love that. If I can do it, you can do it. Tactical Grandma has always been just like a fount of inspiration. Super freaking big heart. God, I love her. But yes, it plays a role in us saying like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna join. And to have somebody that is such a good friend in the space is important. And I think people forget how important it is to continue to reach out, that you're not the silo, that you have to build this solo tower by yourself and your small empire that is just you, that we're here together, right? We build communities together. We compete and we play together. That's a big part of a lot of games, is actually playing with people.
Right? Yeah.
So being able to tap into that and use that beyond just the game itself seems so important for you. So Tactical Grandma, who else is in your space that, let's give a little love out to those that you think are also, game changers in the space. Anyone and everyone that you like.
Oh man, there's so
Not everyone.
many.
Maybe
I
maybe
don't
not everyone.
know.
Never mind. I'm going to take this question back. No.
I will say I was really excited this weekend to meet Spider Tiff, who is a codcaster, and she's incredible at it. And she was telling me like there are only two female codcasters, and that's insane. That's crazy to me that you want to include women and help this industry evolve with women in the space, but you only have two codcasters. So she was incredible to me. I absolutely adore her. I play every Wednesday with Grandma and Hippie and Katie. So those three are definitely some of my closest friends. And like I said, I have a really, outside of my community, when it comes to people I game with, I have a very small circle. As an introvert, it is hard. I feel like that's probably one of the hardest things about
Mm,
my streaming journey, specifically with streaming, is finding people that I can relate to, and for me, it has to be easy. If it's not easy, it's not comfortable. And then when it's not comfortable, I can't stream the way that I want to stream. Um, so it has been very hard to find those close knit friends that, I can depend on and that I can play with. So I play a lot with my mods, because we have fun and everybody enjoys watching it. And then Grandma, as much as I can. We
yeah.
love Grandma.
Yeah. Share that love and have fun doing it. And I appreciate you being honest. Like, sometimes it's hard because, yeah, we are introverted, or we're just tired, or we've had a lot of things going on in life. And so it's one more Discord message we have to send out. It's one more thing. And even though we love these individuals, it's just that there's a lot on everybody's plate. It's one more thing to juggle. That's hard.
Yeah, I feel like that's like one of the biggest stigmas with streaming and content creation is people think like, oh, you play video games and it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
And so actually one of my daughter's friends mentioned, so she asked her what do you want to do when you graduate? And she said she wants to be a teacher. And she said, well, what does your mom want you to do? And she rolled her eyes and said, she wants me to be a lawyer. And she said, how can your mom tell you what to do when all she does is play video games for a living? So I
Oh,
actually
wow.
sat down and made a list of everything that a content creator has to do to be really successful. And
Yes.
it's a lot on your plate, right? It's
Yes.
definitely a lot to juggle. And then you add in these social dynamics and networking and playing with new people. Like it is just a lot.
Yes. Yes. They just play video games.
Yeah, I wish it was that. That's the easiest part of my job.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's like, let's not talk about like setting up scenes, managing your budgets, doing all the editing work, figuring out when you're going to post because social media algorithms keep changing.
Social media, yeah.
Even the weight of like, do I need to go on this new platform? How do I go on this new platform? Now I
Yeah.
got to go into these tournaments. How do I prepare? Who are I going to find with it? And practice times for there's so much more that people
Yeah.
do not see. I can't imagine it being very easy in terms of like as you continue to grow the bigger community you have and you want to keep connecting with all of your individuals who you've connected with, who you've built out with. How do you though make sure that you maintain a little bit of sanity, right? Like cuz you have life outside of gaming. You have to. How
Yeah.
do you make sure that at some points you turn off Discord or that you aren't going to say like, "No, today I'm not going to stream."
Yeah, it's extremely difficult. Like you said, the algorithm. I come from Facebook where we were programmed. Like if you take 2 days off on Facebook gaming, you lose algorithm and it will just, spiral downhill. And me and grandma were actually talking about this last weekend when we were together,
Mhm.
how much it's kind of programmed us to like, okay, we have to go live at this time every day and we have to stream this many hours because if not, we're
Mhm.
going to be negatively impacted by the platform that we're on. And that's a sad thing that happened, but at the same time, I feel like it's definitely made me learn a lot. And the most important thing to remember as a full time creator or even a hobbyist creator is balance. Like the balance is key, and making sure that you stick to a schedule and make sure you save that time and prioritize. Like
Mm.
I would say the past year I've been working very hard. I was actually like the most streamed female on Kick for Call of Duty. Like I put the most hours in, which I mean, yes, it's an incredible,
Yeah.
thing to do, but at the same time I realized, okay, I'm taking so much time away from my kids. Like the
Yes.
balance is off.
Mhm.
So I had to decide, okay, I'm going to shift my schedule a little bit and
Yeah.
make sure that I take a day to myself to get stuff done around the house or edit.
Mhm.
And then I'm still working. It's still hard to turn off even when you take the time off. Like, I'm watching a movie with my son. I'm still like, oh, let me post this real quick.
Yeah.
It really is. It is hard to turn off, but at the same time, like finding that balance and truly trying to stick to it and making sure, hey, gamers, go out and touch grass. I promise you, there is life outside of the internet.
What?
Imagine, go touch
What?
some grass. Maybe, I don't know, make a friend outside. I don't know. It is hard. It is a little weird too.
Putting things on my
Once
to-do
you
list. How dare you?
yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
Don't do that. Don't you dare do that. But you bring up real challenges. You're like, okay, well, just a little here. I'm gonna post here, and then I'm gonna go back, and we're gonna, have some fun time. Or yeah, then we're gonna go to the park. Or you know what? Maybe we can play one more game before I close out this stream tonight. There's small little ways that it continues to leak in. Like
Yeah,
one more thing,
it,
just
it
this
is.
little thing.
Mhm.
But those hours add up. Now, I mean,
Yeah.
you've been doing content creation alongside your competitive gaming for a hot minute. As those two go by, I imagine there's a lot of pressure. Like I am not a competitive streamer in any way. No one comes to my stream to watch me actually play games well, at least, not to play them well. Like I play like I Love You, Colonel Sanders, right? That's what we're doing right now, which is apparently a very tough romance game since I failed twice already at romancing Colonel Sanders.
Oh no.
Yeah, apparently I'm not very good at this. Turns out my
No riz or what?
none, zero, zero. But I can keep failing, and that's easy for me. That's my thing. But it's very low key, and so when I go in, I don't have to bring like my A game. For you, that's in the competitive space. Do you feel like there's an extra pressure in knowing like people know that you're a competitor, that they have to, or that you want to deliver good gameplay every single stream?
Yeah, 100%. I will say I've taken a lot of time off competing over the last I would say, year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
I still dabble here and there, but I've realized like how much I want to focus on my community and giving back to them and the engagement and making sure that I feel like community engagement is so important, especially specifically with my community and many others too. I feel like a lot of competitors kind of shift into that competitive space
Mm-hmm.
and they forget about how much the community actually matters to the success of your streaming career. And so I have turned it off a little bit. It is still hard for me to turn it off completely because
Yeah.
it's been ingrained in me for so long. But there is a lot of pressure still. I tell everybody I do pride my stream on my gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have an amazing personality. It's a little mid. I might be a little funny, but I am really good at the game. So that is something that I always do try to focus on. It is important to me, and I feel like doing this for so long and always having to prove myself and to also prove for women around the world that like we are good enough. We are, we are good.
Mm-hmm.
It can be really hard and it is hard to turn off. So I do try to take the times like when I do supporter games every weekend or when I'm playing with my mods, I kind of take the time to turn that off for a little bit, have fun, create funny content.
Yeah.
And I feel like you have to. I was actually talking to somebody and they said, they're competitive, but they also want to create content and have fun. And that's you're able to do that. It is a balancing act.
Yeah.
But when people are watching and then they see that you're just having fun, it is that time then to do that. And then
Mhm.
then there is a time to be able to compete and take it more serious. So you can do it. It is a juggling act, but it is possible.
Yes, yes. But it encompasses the full gaming experience, right? Like that it's fun, it's with friends, it's hilarious, especially when you get a shot or you don't or you miss and you just shoot at their feet. Giving them that fair warning shot that you were clearly trying to offer them. Versus like, yeah, I'm a badass. I'm making these headshots. Look at me, stealthing around like a killer. There's a whole gambit that can be enjoyed out of competitive games. And I also want to call you out real quick because you kind of sandwiched that in, and shame on you for calling yourself of having mid personality. Boo, wrong. I've been loving everything you've said except for like little things like that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
How dare you? How dare you?
I can be a little boring. I feel like I'm definitely, a little vanilla, a little bland. Chad always makes fun of me. I haven't done a lot of exploring, and I would use a very naughty word that starts with a P and looks like a cat. But I am definitely one of those one of those when it comes to a lot of stuff IRL.
Yeah.
I have learned over the last 4 years as a creator to kind of bring my personality out a little bit. When I first started streaming, I was very PG and
Yeah.
timid and tried to like appease, and definitely I have kind of found myself and allowed myself to completely be me on stream over the past 2 years. And
Yeah.
it's been amazing knowing that people accept me for who I am, regardless of the stupid shit I say.
Because you're not mid, and we like that,
Chat, am I mid?
No one's agreeing with you. No
Vanilla
one's.
is still a flavor. Hey, vanilla is
It
my
is.
favorite flavor.
This
Better
is
than tapioca.
this is the only thing I want to push you on. Tapioca's. That's a texture thing. Vanilla and tapioca. Those are because tapioca. No, that's not. One's a flavor. One's a texture.
Oh, she's right.
Yeah. No. Here's the thing. Being mid, that's a descriptor, right? Like that's an adjective that you're throwing out there. Vanilla itself, some people might describe it as boring. Some people might say it is like it's a good calm flavor, right? It works well with everything. That is a attitude in which you brought
True.
to your own stuff, right? Like I know sometimes
True.
with content creators we stereotype like they gotta be big and they've got these big personalities and they do weird stuff. But that's just one flavor. And it's not
Yeah.
everyone's flavor.
I love that.
You are not mid. You have a certain flavor that appeals to people. You yes, I want you to be kind to yourself. It's like the same thing of like, are you calling yourself cheap or are you calling yourself thrifty? One is a positive, one is a negative, but either way we're saving money.
I am both.
Yeah. We're like, okay. Maybe it's good and bad the way that we do it, right? You are bringing negative, and I just want to take this moment because you deserve better than that.
That means a lot. That actually, so
Yes.
it does, allow me to reflect a little bit. And it is hard, you do get
Mhm.
imposter syndrome because you do see people with these big personalities and a lot of energy. and I don't have that. I don't know if it's my age. I don't know if it's just my personality. So I do kind of like think, okay, maybe I'm just but I do like that. You better not say you're mid again.
Yeah.
Are you gonna spank me, Grandma, if I do? Grandma mid.
How dare you? How dare you? I often see this in women though, where we're like, we feel like we have to pull back on something because we don't trust ourselves to be good at all that we do. Right? Like there's like, okay, I will almost like unwillingly, like I will concede that I'm good at games, but I'm not going to concede that I'm also good at this. Like that would be too much, right? Like that's the energy that I'm getting from you. And I want you to take that pedestal because you deserve to be up there.
All right. We'll own it.
Yes.
We'll own it a little bit.
Yes. Yeah. Listen, either way, we're going to drag you up there, you know, like that's, but I'd
She
love
said
you to.
yes.
Yes. You're going to get spanked. So, you know, you're being called out. You're being called out. But even when you're, and this is also what I still love. I love seeing your chat here supporting you because we're not always going to be our best own advocates. That's just kind of being human. It's just, we aren't always kind to ourselves and that happens. But I'm glad that you have such a great community that's here to call you out on you when you're wrong, right?
They do too. They do too.
I think it's amazing. Let's go ahead and take our little 5-minute break here. Get a breather, grab some new water or drink or G Fuel or whatever it is that you want. And then we'll come back and continue this conversation because we are having such a good time. And I love all of these insights you've been sharing. Sound good?
Sound good. I do have to pee.
All right. All right, friends.
Okay.
We'll be back in 5 minutes. We'll see you all in a hot minute. Okay, friends, guess what? We're back! Because we told you, so we kept to our promises. So congratulations to us. And welcome back to you all. We're here, of course, in our Pink Pixels episode as we kick off Women's History Month with Cupcake Gaming. Yes, I said it right. Cheers to me. Yes. We have been having such a good conversation about who you are. And we've been talking a little bit, of course, about how you do this balance of being a content creator and also within the esports space. I want to pull up a question that Legend had asked earlier. Do you find that you often get kind of pigeonholed into doing like Counter-Strike or FPS, Warzone, like only games like, oh, we'll never reach out to her to play like Among Us with us? Like, do you feel like this is it? Like your branding has almost like people see you only in one light?
I do 100%. I'm known as a Warzone competitor. I'm known as a Warzone player when the community comes in. Now they always say they'll watch me play anything. They'll even watch me play bingo, which is fitting. But they definitely enjoy Warzone, so I do feel almost kind of stuck in that genre. I really don't have an issue with it because that's what I enjoy playing. So it's easy for me. Like it does get a little stale every once in a while, but that's when I kind of throw in the more fun things, or we'll do a sabotage stream, or we could switch it up a little bit. It can be tough. I feel like streamers that start off as streamers that play everything kind of have it a little easier because then they can play anything and their community is watching no matter what they play. I started on Warzone. I have been playing Warzone 40 hours a week for 4 years. So I'm kind of thrusted into that. Like I've got to play it, but it can be a little draining sometimes to know that if you go live and you're playing something other than Warzone, that your numbers will drop, or people won't watch, or you might not get invites to different tournaments. But I will say, like, I feel like I said before, branding yourself, marketing yourself, getting your name out there can still provide those opportunities. For example, Grandma and I got invited to play a Fortnite tournament, which we do not play Fortnite. So that was interesting, but it was really fun for the people to watch, to see us, outside of our comfort zone doing something that we don't normally play. I think my community enjoys watching me play like Fortnite, for example, or something different because I suck at it. And then they're like, oh, see, you're human. You can suck at a video game.
Okay. They're like, okay, we see. Okay. You're reachable on that level.
But you definitely can be. I feel like a lot of creators kind of feel that pressure of having to play the game that they have been branded upon.
Yes. You're like, this is who you are. That's it. And it is hard because you're right. You mentioned like the algorithm, like you're not playing the same thing, your numbers drop. Your viewers come by and like, not my thing, and they pass, right? But you have such a core group. Now, I see they mentioned things like Solitaire, but for you, if there was a game outside of your typical wheelhouse that you're like, I wish I could just play this game, is there one that you're like, I just want to try it and see with like no consequence?
Yeah, I think I might honestly dabble in some Tarkov. I might try it out. I know it's very, very extremely hard to learn and it's complex, but I feel like the community would enjoy watching me stress out a little bit playing Tarkov. And it looks like something that I would have a lot of fun with. And I do dabble. Like I said, I play some Fortnite here and there. I do a lot of stuff with the Pediatric Brain Tumor Foundation. So sometimes I'll hop on with the kiddos on Fortnite or Among Us or whatever the case may be. But we might have some Tarkov streams in the future. I think you'd love to see that. Yeah, I think it would be interesting.
Ooh, I like that. It's a sweaty choice. So good for you.
I'm a sweaty person, so
yeah.
I think we can handle it.
That's fair. That's why you don't go for sleeves, right? It allows for more breathability.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How dare I show my arms, though? I've been told that. Like, you're showing too much shoulder. How dare you?
Someone said that.
How dare you wear a tank top?
Was this a Catholic nun?
Right?
No, even some of them are perfectly fine. They don't even care.
In my little corner with 2 PCs, and I'm like dripping in sweat, and I'm like, bikini tops next. You wait.
Yep. Just you wait. Oh my goodness. That's just wild to me. That's wild to me. People say that, but I like that. You're like, you know what? Maybe we dip into it, and I'm glad you say it out loud because now you can see like some immediate people like saying, "Oh, yes, begged for you to play the horror games."
Now they're gonna be asking. Yeah, they want me to play horror games.
Yeah,
boring.
Yeah, tie it up with your charity efforts. That could be really interesting. Good luck. Is what I'm gonna just say.
Yeah.
Now, of course, when you. Well, let's talk a little bit about horror. but more about horror in the esports space because I want to tap in a little bit about these years, this experience that you have. And to be honest, me, I'm not really like I'm not a competitor. I'm not good at games for that, right? I'm the outside sort of looking in. So for you and your experience, are there particular times at tournaments or things that tournaments do that make them a bit of a mess? That makes it like, I don't want to go back. It has been a horror scene. Like, I don't want to compete there again. I don't want to compete with these people. Um, right? Because we see like the positive, the hype, the pictures from it. It looks great when you win, sort of thing. But there's more to it. It's the behind the scenes, the experience that's provided. Have there been times like that where you're like, no, that's not for me anymore, or I'm never going to go back to that kind of place?
Yeah, I feel like number one is the pressure. Like if you're not winning, if you're not doing well,
Hmm.
then people are looking down on you or not inviting you or not choosing you.
Yeah.
It's hard to find teammates. Like all of those kind of things have been
Mhm.
very difficult. Finding a teammate is probably one of the hardest things that I have encountered.
Yeah.
Um, because I feel like coming from a space where I've had, I had the same teammates for 10 years
Hmm.
and when we played together, we didn't even need comms. Like the chemistry was perfect. So that's what I'm used to. So when you come into this new kind of gaming space where duos are breaking up all the time and you're playing with somebody for one tournament and then somebody else for the next one, like that's just it's difficult to manage and it's hard for me to kind of wrap my mind around.
Yeah.
And for me, again, it's about a comfortability thing. If I'm comfortable with the person and we're vibing and meshing well and our communication is great, then we're going to play together better.
Hmm.
So it's been hard to find that. And then also, I would say just I hate to knock down on the female COD space, but man, girls can be catty. They can be mean. And, I've played in some switches, which I don't know if you know what a switch is, but they spin a wheel, somebody picks you. So
Oh.
I've actually had people like get me on a wheel, like it was random, right? My
Yeah.
name matched up with their name, and they would like talk crap about me or respin the wheel. Or I actually have had somebody that actually completely dropped out of a tournament because they didn't want to play with me because they didn't think I was good. um which is funny because then you go back, and you continue to play, and like I've pushed through all that and I continue to play and I've switched it around where I've beat them in tournaments. So it's like, how can you look down on me when we have played, we've competed against each other and I've
Yeah.
proven myself over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So those things can be a little scary and intimidating and off-putting. And
Jeez.
that's why I feel like when the Overextend Foundation reached out to me and said, how do we make this a better space? How do we make this a better place for women to feel comfortable, to not be intimidated,
Hmm.
to make it kinder and more welcoming? I was all in because I was like, that's what we need because
Yeah.
all women deserve the chance to compete, and we shouldn't have other women, making it off-putting or making it scary
Yes.
because it's
Yes.
scary enough to want to dive in to begin with.
Yeah.
So
Because you're like, we should have gotten
see, grandma,
along. Yeah.
see, grandma knows. She's been there too. She's
Yep.
competed, and I mean, she's had the same experiences.
That stings.
It does. It sucks.
I don't think I could have kept a poker face. I'd probably been like, huh? Like, yeah, I'm sorry. Like, excuse me? I don't think I would have handled it gracefully. Um,
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't.
Actually, this ties in really well to a question Kristen asked earlier. Often women, of course, find themselves competing against other women in the career space. But as a whole, like when it feels like whether it's in the actual competitive game or trying to get slots or attention, does it feel like it's just there are some spots where we're working against each other instead of working with each other?
I do. I feel like there is still that element of competing with one another, right?
Hmm.
Say you and another female are streaming at the same time and somebody can only watch one stream, so
Yeah.
they're going to have to choose which stream to watch. And it's a weird thing because you want to support other women, you want to see them, grow and be successful and but there is still that little part of you where there is a little bit of competition. Or I met somebody at an event last weekend before last, and they said to me right in front of my face,
Yeah.
um, she is a Warzone demon, but don't leave me for her. That was her initial like statement about introducing me to one of her community members. And I was like, that's weird energy. That's
Yeah.
weird energy. But it is a thing where, you do have that imposter syndrome, or you do get on, you don't feel I don't know what the word I'm looking, or you're intimidated by other females in the space,
Yeah.
which can lead to competition.
Hmm.
And it's weird.
That's so unfortunate to be like, to hear that phrase, "Don't leave me for her." And I don't dock them for saying that, because sometimes it does feel like there's only so many slots, right? Like,
Yeah.
you, I'm only gonna cheer on one woman in gaming, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes we do hear commentary like that. You're like, "You're the person I'm cheering for. You're the woman I'm backing," and it feels so limiting when that doesn't have to be the case, right? It's
Yeah.
not competing for chairs, it's adding more chairs up there.
That's what I say. Like, it's all about the natural, like, integration between communities. Like, grandma and I share a lot of community members
Mhm.
because we relate so well to one another, and our communities have a lot in common. So organically, community has gravitated towards me, and that just makes it better for both of us, because now we both have this incredible community that we can share,
Mhm.
and that's the way that I feel like it should be.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I even tapping in what grandma's saying right here. Yeah. You have to be willing to let your community go where they are entertained, right? And that's such an important thing. As even for content creators, like, we feel like we own our audience, but we don't. Like, they're free agents. They're
Right?
human beings. They can go where they want, and you want them to thrive and be in spaces that they want to be in. You can't just, like, "You're locked into me now. You signed a contract with that subscription, so be here every time I turn on my camera."
Exactly. And there's streamers for everybody. You know, what I don't have to offer, grandma may, or what grandma may not have to offer, I may. Like,
Hmm.
not everybody's going to enjoy everybody's content. Maybe one day you're feeling sad and you want to watch Dr. Disrespect go nuts to, like, make you laugh, or
Yeah.
maybe one day you just want to chill and have me on in the background.
Hmm.
Um, and that's the way it is. And I feel like it gets twisted a lot of times, which can make it weird energy.
Yes. Yes. It's unnecessarily competitive. Like, let's say the competition for the game itself, not with each other. But it comes from a more mature take. Instead of saying, like, "It's just for me," it's understanding what's good for everyone in the gaming space, of being able to have that freedom, that movement, to find what fits for them this day.
Exactly. I feel like, it's a weird thing being 42 in this space. Like, I've had that
Mhm.
life experience. I've experienced so much.
Mhm.
And when you come to this space, there's a lot of immaturity, because there are creators that are much younger that might not have, experienced the things you have.
Mhm.
So I always try to share that knowledge, and share my, I'm not mature all of the time, but share some of the things that I have learned over those last 23 years, and hopefully maybe try to make this space grow into something where we can all feel more comfortable, and not be so competitive with each other,
Mhm.
because being a content creator is hard. It's hard for everybody: male, female, trans, gay, black. It's hard for everybody.
Yeah.
So we all really need to, like, support each other, and uplift each other, because if we don't have the support of the people that are in our shoes, then who do we get the support from?
Yeah. Yeah. That's such a healthy take. And I feel like that kind of gives more of an opening to say, "Just relax," a little bit, instead of over panicking or trying to
Yeah.
control every little thing that you can't control in this ecosystem. It gives breathing room and grace, and a lot more to just say, be where you can be.
Yeah. And, like, one of my biggest advices is something that I overlooked for a very long time,
Mhm.
is live in that moment, enjoy the things that you're accomplishing today
Ooh.
and what you're going to accomplish tomorrow, and don't so much focus on, like, these big huge goals that you have for down the road, or like you want to join an esports org, or you want to hit partner on this, or this, that, and the other thing, because then you lose focus of all of those things that you're accomplishing and building along the way. And you really need to live in those moments and enjoy the time
Mhm.
that you are growing, because that's what leads you to those big moments. And if you're not enjoying them as you go on, and you're not having fun doing what you're doing, then you're losing all of the passion and joy of why you started in the first place.
Yes. 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 You're like, wait, it evolves into some sort of weird monster that's just hungry for more, and it forgets, like, the actual joy and community and sharing and competing style that we had from the very beginning.
Yeah, exactly.
We look in the mirror one day and go, like, "Who am I? What have I
Yeah.
become?"
Yeah. A CCV hungry monster. Give me all the viewers.
Yes, yes. It kind of would be nice if like we had a Dorian Gray version of ourselves. Like we could look at the picture and be like, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. That's what it's turning me into. We don't always
Yeah.
have that mirror to look at ourselves, that reflection opportunity. Oof.
Yeah.
Oof. Oh, I like that. Oh, man. Uh, I, now you've brought in some good, healthy approaches. As you've seen this gaming space evolve, what has been something that you've been really excited to see change in this place? So you're like, finally, I'm glad we're going in the right direction. It could be anything and everything from like game types, even controllers, right? What have been some things that you're like, I've loved gaming from the beginning. I'm glad of seeing where it's going.
The technology, 100%. Like coming from these
Yes.
monster, terrible, huge computers on like 30 FPS.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've seen where it started and the monitors, like how thin they are now and how much better quality they are. Like all of those progressions are outstanding. And that's been really cool to see the change in them over the past 20 some years.
Yes.
But also like the stigma that goes with gaming is changing. And that's one of the really cool things that I love to see because,
Mm-hmm.
you know, back then it was, I mean, it still is today, but not as much, but it was so frowned upon. Like you're wasting your time, you know, you're throwing it all away. It's bad. You're playing shooter games, which means you're going to go shoot people and just like all of these stigmas that surround gaming. It's evolved and I mean, it's still there, but it's gotten so much better. And, you know, people are now seeing through live streams and through content creation, like the impact, the positivity that gaming can have. And that's probably been one of the most amazing things when it comes to transition over the last 20 some years is the stigmas kind of narrowing off a little bit to a more positive thing because one thing I try to do through my streams and in my content is create a more positive space, you know, doing the charity streams, doing the ambassadorship roles. It's important to me. It's important to me to do good through my platform. You know, like I said, I have the voice, I have the platform now. Why not use it to do good and to make this space better for everybody?
Yes. Yes. Oh, I love that. Here. Also, yeah, these are all like we continue to see this progressively get better. Like we're working on it. It's the next step. It's the next step. It's the next step. Well, that kind of goes into the next question then. What are the next steps? You're like, listen, we got to work on this now. Now that we're here, here's where we got to go next. Are there some things you're like, listen, mobile gaming? No. Are you like
Mobile gaming is terrible in my opinion, but you know, also it is getting better. It is Verdansk.
Yes.
You know, all of us COD lovers loved
Yes.
Verdansk, and it's been gone for so long, and it's coming to COD Mobile.
Yes.
So that is one thing. I feel like definitely just the hate on one another is something that needs to change. Like we're at the end of the day, we're all gamers.
Yes.
We're all in the same space. We're all sharing this space, and we need to move forward with getting along with each other and encouraging each other. That's one thing I would love to see. And then competing, you know, just I would just like to see people rewarded for their hard work. I feel like it's so hard nowadays. For me, a lot of times I feel like I'm being overlooked or I'm not being rewarded or seen for all that I do. And that's like one of the things I love about the gamers is bringing that spotlight, bringing that attention to women in this space who have been making changes and working hard, whether it be in the video game industry, you know, developers, podcasters, hosts, codcasters, just highlighting those areas and really bringing, you know, you want to feel validated for the work that you've put in. And it's hard when you are a streamer, you are a content creator. You don't have anybody patting beside your community. I love you guys. But besides that, you don't have anybody patting you on the back. You don't get a promotion, you know, you don't get any of that stuff. So if we can have more avenues to actually reward and validate people in this space, specifically women, for the hard work that they have put in, I think it's a really cool thing. And it's something that I love about the gamers for sure.
Oh, I love that. That's such a good point. I don't know why I never made that connection, but you're right. Like in more traditional jobs, right, there are rewards, at least hopefully annual pay increase, like, you know, like there's reviews and typically job title increases, like content. Like there's no like you don't go from content creator and move up. Maybe like if you look at Twitch, you go from affiliate to partner, right? Like but that grind can take a long time to get to. Like in between how do you celebrate? Where are our pizza parties and
Yeah.
beanbag chairs and ping pong tables that apparently us millennials really want? That's there's some recognition in saying like we see what you're doing, we see the influence that you're making. How do we recognize and value and encourage you further? Like there's no larger body besides like these groups that are trying to grow, right? Like yeah, the gamers. Seeing a few more award ceremonies start to get more traction. That's
Yeah.
part of it, which is nice. But where we continue to go from there, that's hard. That's
Yeah.
hard.
It is, and I think there's a lot that can be done. Even within podcasts, or features, or within I joined an esports organ. Even within organizations, I feel like they're not highlighting their players enough.
Oh,
Um, Esports orgs are bringing on these players to add a number to their success rate, for their sponsorships. And they're not giving back enough to their players. They're not rewarding them for the hard work that they do. They're not, putting a spotlight on what they're doing. And so there's a lot of changes that can be made that can progress those things, a lot more than just us tweeting our accomplishments, because a lot of times you feel like, okay, does this sound like I have an ego putting this out there? But at the same time, if I don't tell the world, how are they going to find out?
that's so true.
So
You have to be your own promoter at the end of the day, and it's not as fun, and it feels it isn't, but you have to put yourself out there constantly. And I apologize, my dog is also very excited about this point that she's making. She senses my energy because it's this hard part of like making sure that energy, that recognition is there, and who does that for you. Um, Besides having then to saddle this on your community shoulders. Beyond that, how do we continue to advance that? I like this.
yeah.
It made me think of even like how excited I was when Emma had her documentary talking about her journey in the
Yes,
esports.
I've seen that. It's
I was
amazing.
Yes, I was like, why don't I see more of these out there? Why are there
Yeah.
not more takes? Like, eh, let's see more about these teams, what they're doing, what they're creating. Even when we look at esports teams, they might have an editor, but it's still up to the individual competitors still to make the content themselves.
Yeah.
And then it's still their platforms that they're putting it out on, right? There's more room for stories.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely more room for growth all around, whether it be live streaming, game developing,
Mhm.
competing. There's so many avenues in this space. And that's one of my biggest advices to anybody that is trying to make it in the content creation world, is to diversify yourself, become multifaceted,
Mhm.
build up your resume. Don't just be a live streamer. There's so much more you can do. And there's so many ways to be successful doing this. You just really got to put yourself out there. You got to take risks. I swing at everything. I strike out 90% of the time, but it doesn't stop me from swinging, because there's going to be that one time where I hit a home run.
Mhm.
So
Yes. Yes. I think that's the hardest part because and I'm glad you mentioned like the 90% because you have to put your name out there so many times. You see like calls for this thing or that thing and there's so many people competing for it. So many people that want that spot, that spotlight. The resumes are difficult to sift through because there are many talented individuals in this
yeah,
space. But it's because you keep doing that. That's why you get it. That's when you
yeah,
keep putting yourself out there. That's the key thing. I think 'cause a lot of people are like, how'd you get that gig? Like, I put myself out there. I made the application. I talked to these people. I networked. I follow them
yeah.
on Twitter and I have those conversations. I made sure to say hello to them, right? You're being you, you're being genuine, and you have to keep putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
Is that exhausting, especially as an introvert?
Oh yes, 100%. And a lot of times there's times where I'm like, should I do this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Am I the right fit?
Yeah.
Or am I, if I message this person
Hmm.
privately and I say these things, is it going to look cringy or weird or stupid,
Yes.
So you do overthink a lot, and you do have to like kind of navigate that journey in the space, and it is weird and it's exhausting. It is very tiring knowing that you have to constantly put yourself out there and constantly be told no, because a lot of people, when they're told no over and over and over, eventually they just give up, right? They don't want to
Hmm.
try anymore.
Yeah.
um So I think for me, I use all of those no's as motivation to try harder because I want to hear yes. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to hear no. I want to hear yes.
Yeah.
So
Keep going until you hear a yes.
yes.
Mm, mm. That's hard, but I appreciate that because I think people think so I teach during the day.
Okay.
And so I think when sometimes I see my students are like, I'm going to go out, I'm going to get the job right away, and I'm going to be in this space. And it's like, you're going to hear no's for a while. Right.
Yeah.
And that's hard to teach of like, get used to it, get ready for it, because
Hmm.
you can't really prepare for it until you're in the middle of it. When you start
Exactly.
seeing that rejection letter first come through, or saying, we're actually going to go with this person instead, or we're actually going to go sponsor this event or whatever it is. And that it hurts because you have ideas, you've got energy, you've got passion, and you're like, I just want to do something in here. And if you trust me, I'm going to take it somewhere. Right.
Yeah, and all it takes is that, that one group, that one business, that one brand, that one person to take a chance on you.
Mhm.
That's all it could take to really propel you, and you'll never know unless you keep trying to get that one chance. And my daughter actually, she was supposed to come to the Gamer Awards with me, but she had cheerleading tryouts, so she
Ah!
wasn't able to. So she actually did not make the team, and this is the first year in 7 years that she hasn't made the team. And my husband was outraged. He was so mad. And I
Let's
will
go
say,
have a talk with the
I
coach.
was very upset. I
Yeah.
wondered and questioned and everything else. But just like you said, it is a life lesson. Like she's not always gonna hear yes. And even if she didn't deserve to hear no, there are
Mhm.
gonna be times in her career, in her path, in her journey where even if she deserved to hear a yes, she may still hear a no. And that's something that you have to learn, and you have to adapt and get over and grow from it, because you just if you teach them that they're always going to be heard yes, then you're setting them up for failure.
Yes.
Honestly.
Yes. No, that's real talk though, isn't it? You're like, listen, at some point you're gonna have to hear no. It's
Yeah.
good to get those lessons in earlier.
Yeah. It's real life.
Yes. Yes. Oh, that's funny to me because we often think like, oh, if you just keep the role of success, then you're gonna be fine. But that first time you hit no, if you've never heard it before, especially younger, when you're older, it hits hard. Like
Yeah.
you don't have the coping skills to be able to manage that. And now you're no longer often in learning environments where it's safe to explore what it's like to deal with a no.
Exactly. Yep.
You're like, I don't know what to do with this because it is very hard. There was an actually interesting study. So, curious about how students adapt to college, right? Surprisingly, with a lot of the challenges that colleges come, students who have B's and C's often do well still in college because they know struggles and challenges, and not always having all the support networks or someone there with you. Having straight A's doesn't indicate success.
I agree with that. And I feel it, man. I will tell you,
Mhm.
like, I feel like one of my best attributes is resiliency. I have,
Mhm.
I've had a difficult life. I lost my mom early in life.
Oh,
I've had a lot of trials
sorry.
and tribulations. And um, all of those things, you kind of learn how to prepare yourself, or when you experience hardships, to cope with them. And it's definitely made me the woman I am today, and it has made me stronger because of those things where I could
Mm.
have let them get to me. I could have let them affect, the way that I've progressed through life, but instead, I let them shape me into a better person, a stronger woman. And it's a good thing. Sometimes in the
Yeah.
moment it feels like a bad thing, but
Yeah.
it is a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny. I mean, it's one of those things like you wish it didn't happen. Like even yeah, like I'm with Scrib. I'm like, we're sorry that she didn't make it into cheerleading, right? And it sucks, and you wish you had a different outcome. But from that, it shapes who you become. It
Yeah,
really does.
exactly.
Hmm. That's interesting. That's interesting. Small little caveat: if you are an all A student, that doesn't mean you're gonna fail, right? Like, like, I'm not
That's
saying like
not what you said.
shaming you
Yeah.
guys are out of here, but like, and I think you're right. Like when you talk about like you went through something, and it informed who you are. It was a very, and I don't know how much you want to share about, kind of growing up and dealing with some of that, but that resiliency, right? That certainly helps when you're here as a content creator, right? Having that
Oh
thick
yeah.
skin when you're in competitions and sometimes you don't win, right? Like that seems to be something that has really supported in how you interact with the world now?
Yeah, I think it has, everything in my life, whether it be personal stuff like, losing my mom to health issues has motivated me to be more healthy as an
Oh.
adult, to live longer for my children. And then in gaming over the last 20 years, you know, dealing with all of that hate and all of the undermining things that I have had to deal with.
Mhm.
Yeah, it sucked. Of course, nobody wants to deal with that stuff, but at the same point, it has led me into the creator I am today, and it has allowed me to be able to be strong when I still continue to get that hate or when I still am told no. Like it's something that I have set myself up for to
Mhm.
be able to move past it and be stronger because of it. So
Mm.
I'm thankful. I'm thankful for all of the no's. Honestly, I'm thankful for all of the no's in my life.
And well, we appreciate you sharing all of this too, and how you handle all of those no's, because I mean, it's inspiring, but it's also encouraging, and it's also such a human experience. Because sometimes we think like, if I go to work, like I just put my blinders on, everything that happens in my home life or my past experiences, that doesn't matter. I'll just be a good employee. But that's such a robotic experience. Even when you stream or when you compete, right? You're your whole self. All of your experiences from your past lead up to the moment that you're in now. Even if it's the small mundane things of like how we're washing the dishes, right?
Yeah.
To the high pressure moments when we're in the finals of a competition, how we handle ourselves, how we carry ourselves, how we perform in that. There are all these domino effects that have led to where we are in a moment. And all of those are valid. All of them are important. And we can't just pretend that they don't exist. We can't just hide those away, or try to obscure or lie about where they are. And I'm so grateful that when you come to this space, right, how open and direct you are. And I think it's wonderful. I see even in your chat, like, we
Thank
get the
you.
real Gina.
Yeah, I am. I'm very transparent. I am very open. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I think that is
Mhm.
probably one of the reasons why people do gravitate to my stream or my
Yeah.
community is because they get me 100% of the time. And that's a really cool thing too, because, there's a lot of content creators that might not be real all the time. So the community that they're creating is, supporting them or enjoying them for somebody that they're not even actually are. So my community enjoys me for the real me. And that's something awesome to wake up to and go live to every day, knowing that they're there for me, for
Yeah.
the real me.
Yes. Yes. There's validation that comes from that, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. I guess you guys are okay.
You
I
guys.
guess.
Some of you are dimes, maybe even a few quarters in the mix.
Yeah. There's a couple pennies, but we'll keep them.
Yeah, yeah. We'll invest them. They could, eventually, increase in
Yeah, five
value.
five of those add up.
Yes, yes. 5 minutes. We'll get there. I'm a peso.
I'm a bent nickel.
Y'all are hilarious. Y'all are funny. So here you are right now in this moment. All right, we talked on the larger scale. What about for you now? As we look towards 2024, where do you want to keep growing? Where do you want your next step to be? I already see, someone had mentioned in chat, like, here we go, next year, a lifetime achievement award. We all know where our votes are going for. But for you as well, what's something that you want to see yourself in, aside from, other people and the validation? What are things that you want to do? And because I love speaking these out, I want people to say where their goals are, so that way we as a community can cheer you on, we can support you, we can do whatever we can to help make that a reality.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time in gaming, and that means gaming,
Yeah.
at the desk. How many hours a week playing the game and
Mhm.
dedicating myself to competing, and I educate my community on how to play. I give them tips and tricks, and I think it's kind of time to shift a little bit
Ooh.
outside of that to do more mentorship roles, panel speaking, boys and girls clubs, ambassadorships. I have all of this knowledge, I have all of this experience, and I want to be able to share it with the world. Like, I feel like there's just so much more of an impact that I can make outside of this. And I'm
Mhm.
not saying this is going anywhere. I promise I'm still here.
Yeah.
But just to expand on it a little bit, doing something like this, and then going to the Gamer Awards, and I I did a few things at events in the past couple events I've been to. Those things I feel like are something that I can really expand upon and grow with and find success in because I have been doing this a long time. I do have a lot to share and I do feel like I can make such a bigger impact um outside, especially to, women and youth. I feel like as a mom and as a woman, there's a lot that I can do with all of that I've learned. I feel like a lot of times it's being squandered.
Hmm.
I enjoy playing the game. I'm good at the game and all of those things, but there's just so much more to me than just that.
Yes. Yes. There's a lot. You are a diverse human being that does many different things and you want to activate that. That's absolutely fair that you would want to be able to do that. I think this is fantastic. I'm already thinking of like, okay, what are cons that we can get you to? What are conventions? How do we get you on that stage every single time? Because you're absolutely right. I've enjoyed all of this, and I hope I'm glad we have such an engaged and wonderful audience. And of course, we're going to take this recording. It's going to be saved on YouTube, right? We're going to put this out here, but you have a voice that belongs on so many platforms with so many audiences that's going to influence and grow and improve the gaming space. I want to give you a megaphone. I hope everybody else sees this and goes like, "Yes. Where do we continue to push you out?" And
Thank you.
yes, yes. So I'm glad that you voiced this. All right. So many of you wonderful individuals, if you see when there are calls out, right, to say like, "Hey, we're looking for panelists," share, let us know, because those they come out like 6 months sometimes in advance, and it's like,
Yeah,
oh,
I know it's crazy.
but they don't always advertise it well of like, "Hey, we're looking for panelists." And you're like, "I would have done it, but I didn't know that your con was happening until like a month before," you know?
Yeah, I think that's the thing was like it was really hard for me to find those kind of opportunities or have somebody to facilitate them. Like I have to
Yes.
do it all on my own. So it's kind of hard to like where do I even look?
Yes.
So it's I've been definitely transitioning and reaching out and I've applied for a few ambassadorship roles and have a few interviews. So those kind of things that I love doing those. Like I love working
Hmm.
with the Pediatric Brain Tumor Foundation. I've been having a lot of fun with the Overextend Foundation. I just signed with the Kick Tournament Network to bring competitive gameplay to
Ooh,
Kick. And those things are something that I'm good at and there's value there. And I want to be able to, use that valuable.
yes. Yes. Bring it
Sorry,
in.
I'm reading chat. Wham, 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 wham.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you said that for me. I was like, I don't know how to say that. That's what it is. Okay. I was gonna make it sound real dumb. Okay, so that's the
Well, we
actual.
want to hear it from you.
Flam. Okay, there we go.
Yes.
I sound so flat compared to yours. Mine's just like this sad little like as if you DIY'd your own megaphone.
It
Like
was
that's
pretty
what
good
mine
chat,
was.
huh? It was like the Dollar Tree version.
Dollar Tree. Hey, you said I belong in a store at least. Somebody would buy it
Yeah,
then.
somebody will buy you.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Uh, I'm so glad to see this because I'm really glad to see your hunger to say I need to be in more spaces because I think what happens, especially with a lot of women in the gaming space, is that we make ourselves small. Right. We don't try to claim territory. And I want you to build your empire. Right. Sorry, I just thought of your new empire. The Star Wars quote always pops in my head when I say the word empire. But your influence, you're an astounding individual trying to make the space better for everyone. Right? Obviously, you have a voice for women, but you have a voice for many in this space. Right? Not just women. You talk about competitors, you talk about you've been in gaming for so many years, right? You can talk on multiple levels of how gaming impacts, young gamers to older gamers, right? I'm in that older bracket as well as we get up there, right? Like who gaming is for, how we talk about it as a parent, right? In this space, you bring so many perspectives and so many different resources along with you. I just think it's great. I'm going to go off of alt here. Yeah, you have an amazing ability to take on so many roles. Even though you're an introvert, yes, you're highly adaptable, you're open minded. And I love in everything that we've talked about, you've been so solution oriented. I don't think you've ever been like, well, that's, fucked, whatever.
Yeah.
You're like,
That's
here's
the
how I
biggest
handle it.
thing for me. Like, don't come to me with this, that, or the other. Come to me with a solution.
Yes.
It can't just be this is wrong or we can't do this. There's always a solution, and there's so many ways to like adapt and change and grow, and there's so much more of that to go in this space. And there's people like me and you
Mhm.
who have a voice that can facilitate that growth and make a change and make a difference.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, we want to keep supporting you. You are a freaking superstar. Where do we find you, right? So you are in a variety of places. Of course, you mentioned Kick, right? And in our stream title, of course, we have your name. So if you're over here on Twitch, you can follow. But I know you're active primarily on Kick as well. Where can we find you? What's your next thing? What's your big stream, right? Tell us where we can continue to support and cheer you on, whether it's you winning at a game, or you're at your next panel, or you're winning the next award. Where do we find you?
You can find me everywhere: YouTube, Kick, Twitch, TikTok, Facebook. They're all Cupcake Gaming, CUPC4KE Gaming. And a big shout out to next weekend. We are doing our charity stream for the Pediatric Brain Tumor Foundation. So that will be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We are trying to hit a total of $40,000 raised on Tiltify. So make sure you guys come through and donate next weekend for kids and teens with brain tumors. It's an amazing cause. I love to be a part of it. I'm something I'm very proud of and love to share and bring awareness to. So Pediatric Brain Tumor Foundation on Twitter, and stop by the stream next weekend and donate.
Yes, I love that. Good causes, good tournament. It's everything that we want in a weekend, right? Like, it's perfect. Plus, it's winter still. No one's going outside. All right, touch the grass later. Okay.
Yeah, it's still too cold to touch grass.
Yeah,
you have a little more time.
Or if you have to, just put the stream on your phone and donate that way, and then you can go outside and take it with you, right?
Yes.
That's the way around it. I love that. What's grass? Exactly. We don't know. But we know, of course, right, in this, we want to support good causes. Actually, I want to go one small dive, because I love that you have the pediatrics. Why that organization? Why have you chosen them?
When I very first started streaming, I saw them pop up, and I did my research and saw that they are the biggest organization to donate towards kids and teens with brain tumors, which is the deadliest form of pediatric cancer. It is also the most underfunded, and that's crazy to me that it is the deadliest yet most underfunded. So that automatically caught my attention, caught my eye, and you don't hear about it. You hear about all of these other charities, St. Jude Foundation, which are, they're all incredible causes, but I've never heard of them. So to me, I wanted to bring awareness to the cause. And then I have met some of the families. I've played with some of the kids. I've got to meet the kids firsthand and see and hear what their experiences have been like. So it's near and dear to my heart. I love the families. I love the cause. It means so much to me. And if we can help in any way, it just means the world to me, for sure.
Damn, you were just authentic through and through. You're not like, here's a random one. You're like, here's one that connects with my values. You research them, you know what they're about, you know why and how this money is going to be used. That's such a responsible take that I love to see, and that your passion, your clear care around it, that makes it easy for myself, and I can see even chat as well. Like, yes, we also are attached. We also want to cheer. We want to be a part of this. We want to create this world being better. And I think this is one of the great stories that comes from gaming, is that gaming does good, right?
Really does. If you allow it, if you use your platform, and don't squander the opportunities that you have to be able to do something great and fantastic and good. You can do so many amazing things through gaming. It's crazy. It's crazy the amount of charities we've worked with, the amount of money and awareness we've raised. It's been incredible. It's been the favorite part of everything that I've done.
I love it. All right. What was that date again for our weekend as we kick it off?
It is next weekend, March. What is that? 7th, 8th, and 9th?
Let me double check. Hold on. Let me find my calendar. We'll see who finds it first.
8th, 9th, and 10th.
All right. Perfect. 8th, 9th, and 10th. It'll be the best way to welcome in daylight savings time if you're in the U.S. I know none of us like it. Right. But we do love a good tournament for a good cause. So that's where we're going to be. I hope that you all get the chance to join. And of course, if you're somebody who works on a day-to-day basis, because looking ahead to the future is really hard and your schedule is busy, just make sure that you're following Cupcake Gaming on all other social channels, right? That way you'll get the updates like, hey, as a reminder, we're kicking this off today. And that way you don't have to remember. It's okay. Your brain, save it. All right. But make sure then you're setting yourself up to plug in, offer that support. And if you can donate, that's the best. That's awesome. We love it. But remember, even if you don't have dollars in your wallet right now, it's also showing support, talking in chat, sharing it out with others, encouraging and sharing what the good things that we're doing over, of course, that Cupcake Gaming stream. So come on over. Make sure you share that support. I love it. I love it. All right, before we wrap up, any final words that you got for our wonderful and engaged audience this evening? Kind of putting a nice little bow tie on the finality of this stream.
Yeah, I see a lot of ladies in here. So again, happy Women's History Month. Women in gaming, it can be difficult. It can be hard. But I encourage you all to be yourself. Continue to do it. Don't let anybody take that away from you or take the passion away that you have, because it can be really hard and it can be a little scary. But as long as you are proud of what you're doing, and if you are a part of my community, you have a space to be yourself and have a good time gaming and feel comfortable and feel confident. um those are so important, and I just want to thank my amazing community for always showing up, putting out. That's our phrase, showing up and putting out. I appreciate you all, and support the gamers. Everybody follow what they're doing is incredible. We love what they're doing over here, so everybody make sure you follow them as well on all the socials, and of course here on Twitch.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Give us a follow down below. We're here every Monday doing interviews with amazing women in the gaming space. And if you're ever looking for more women to follow, I love to go through, like we just finished the Gamers Awards. I like to go through all of the nominees and just follow all of them. Like,
That's what I did.
Yep, we're like, let's get this amazing content.
Yep.
It's one of my favorite things to do. So if you're looking to get more voices, more great material, that's your spot. All right, good friends. We'll see you all next week. I hope you can join us. We're going to have more good material hanging out with us. And of course, I'm going to take a page from your book. We'll show up and put out.
Yeah, show up and put out, chat.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Bye,
Thank you for having me.
everyone. Of course.
Bye.
Bye.